Glory, honor, and praises to my Father in heaven, Allah, Father of the universe, Lord of the universe, Landlord of the universe, Landlord of the earth. My father told me something. My father said the whole the regentrification shit going on all over, where they moving like the pale skin nations into like the hoods and the urban cities and shit like that. Father said it's because, you know, I'm trying to say this is, I don't want this video to be long at all because, shit. Well, Father basically said, um, children of Israel, Hebrews, Israelites, so-called blacks, African Americans, Negro, all these, like the indigenous people. we served our karmic debt for the sins of our ancestors. That's why we, been in slavery for how long? I'm saying we have ancestors in slavery for how long? Well, we basically we served our sentence. Now, it's your choice on whether you want to. You know how they gave the slaves like the choice if they wanted their freedom papers and shit. I don't really know how all that shit went down, but you know how they gave them their papers like, all right, they're basically like their severance pay, give you a few nickels and a dime and some clothes on your back, and you're free to go. And some chose to stay in slavery. You get what I'm saying? So although some are still choosing to be in slavery, some of us are still choosing to be in slavery. We have served our for our crimes, our sins against humanity. Shit, I know I paid for it in this lifetime as a sacrificial lamb. I paid for the sins of my ancestors, and that shit was brute. This shit been brute, man. But so it's like Father gave us a sentence. You have to remain this amount of time in oppression under the hand of the dominion of the pale skin oppressor for this amount of time, and that time is up. So Father, um, you know, decreed in heaven divine order on earth. So we're seeing it play out. We're seeing divine order being established on the earth. Da 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 da. But this is the thing: the regentrification is because the pale skinned nations and all the other nations that was set against the so-called blacks, right? Because look, if you look on this land, America KKK, every other nation is profiting off of this land that was given to the so-called blacks, right? They all get to come from their born land. They get to come here and set up shop and make money, send it home, and take care of their nations, right? If you're not doing what Prophet Noble Drew Ali instructed, under the authority of my Father Allah, and proclaiming your nationality, going back to the national descent name of your forefathers and foremothers, then you don't have a nation, you don't have a nationality. If you're a so-called black, African American, or Negro, you don't have a nationality. But all the other nations, see, they have an established. They're a part of an established nation, and they all get to come here and profit off of this land that was given to your ancestors, and they get to take care of their nation. See, and see how that happened was you had the pale skin oppressor. He basically divvied up the land. All right, you gonna have this corner, you gonna have that corner, you gonna have this corner. Arabs, we're gonna give y'all the gas station, the oil on lock. The Chinese, we gonna put y'all in all the hoods, have y'all cooking the food with lard and swine and duck and fried food, and we're gonna put y'all in all the ghettos. And we all know that the European got what they got and shit. um Shit, even down to the, I'm saying that the Europeanized Mexicans, the pale skin ones, they even come here, and they even get because they signed on for slavery to be servants to the pale skin. um it's their boss. They do their landscaping. They keep up with the maintenance for the corporations. And they basically took over what the so-called blacks was doing or whatever. And um, it's a thing that they all divvied the pale skin oppressor divvied up our land and our resources and our abundance to the other nations for them to be in bid to keep the so-called blacks, keep us all the way down so we can never rise to power. You hear what I'm saying? So their participation is that in that, Father is saying, their time to pay for that karmically is now, because we are in the age of Aquarius. We're in the time of divine order, divine justice, universal law, divine truth. All that is here. It's law on this land now, because of the age we crossed over from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. We're in a new world. What the Bible referred to as world was, I'm saying, in that original Hebrew, it was eon, age of time, an era. And any age of time, it ends, and it ended with the age of Pisces. Boom, we in the age of Aquarius, divine order on the earth. That means now we under the energies of divine justice, divine truth. All of that is coming up. All of that is just coming up. So it's like now is their time to pay. They have to pay their karmic debt for how they had their fucking foots on the necks of the so-called blacks, the children of Israel. So all this, this gentrification is a part of that. It's a form of karmic exploitation. All right, we're about to have to serve our sentence. Misery loves company. We don't want y'all to, even though Father has freed y'all. Father said y'all are free now. We still want to keep y'all oppressed. So we want to keep our energy intertwined with y'all, and now we're under the microscope of guilt. They're guilty of the oppression of the so-called blacks, and they want to keep us in that energy. See, we paid off from our guilt. We paid that off as a nation. Whether you want to still remain guilty or not, that's up to you. But I'm saying we, as a collective, we paid that off. Look at how much suffering. Look at how much suffering we've done as a nation. Not just our ancestors, but look at how much suffering we've done even in this world, in this society, having to let other people raise our children, having to be stuck in hoods and ghettos and these environments of poverty, lack, restriction. We don't even have access to organic foods in the hoods and the ghettos. So what I'm saying is, we paid our debt through suffering. And you know what Father said about suffering? Suffering produces patience, man. So this is the thing, man. If you're so-called black and you're finding yourself intertwined, intermingled, intermarrying, and they're just now starting. And remember, the lag time from the spiritual to the physical. The spiritual is instant. The physical is happening slower, at a slower rate. So they're just coming upon their sentence. for what they got karmically, due to the law of cause and effect. That's a universal law, the law of cause and effect. Everything that they did to our ancestors. And look, didn't they show you with David and Bathsheba, when David set Bathsheba's husband up because of the sin that he committed? That baby had to die. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, us having to pay for the sins of our ancestors, our indigenous ancestors. The ones here, the Europeans here, they're starting their sentence where they got to pay for the sins of their ancestors, what their ancestors did right on the land that they're still benefiting off of from the indigenous people. It's been decreed in heaven, remember, so you're going to see this playing out. So you mean to tell me you about to go and intermingle, intermarry, intertwine, be up under in the same energetic force fields as in communion? Because when you're in communion, you're in agreement. I'm saying you eating with this person, you chilling with this person, you with this person, you in communion with this person, you sharing your mind with this person, you sharing your thoughts, your mind with, you in communion, you in agreement. So y'all somewhat in alignment. You get what I'm saying? Whatever situation it is. So it's like karmically they have to pay for the sins of their ancestors. The ancestors in there are in other dimensions, paying for these sins against the indigenous people, the so-called blacks. So it's like, it's the same thing with how they put pork in everything, it's just to defile us, because we're coming out of a time of great trauma, and it's really just to defile us. Like, all right, y'all not escaping us. We had y'all in chains with the slavery, now we're gonna have y'all bound to us through this, the things like the regentrification and how they're pushing in the mainstream, the interracial dating and stuff. It's like, yo, you just came out of your sentence having to serve time for your own ancestors, or your ancestors were serving time in slavery and under oppression. You're going to go and merge and marry and intermingle and intertwine, and they're just starting their sentence. I'm talking about all the other nations that was set against the so-called blacks, the indigenous people. All of the other ones they're profiting right now off of our land. They do not give us a help. If you go in their stores and say, I'm hungry, can I have some food? How many of them will actually give you food? How many of them have programs to bring food into the so-called blacks, in the hoods, from what they're having to throw away, things that get expired? I don't want to hear these legal arguments. I don't want to hear this. This is it's poverty going on in the hoods and the ghetto. So how many of these other nations that are profiting off of the land are having programs to meet the needs of these so-called blacks, indigenous? That's why I said they were all in bid to profit off of this land. All right, we'll give you this market. We're gonna give you that market. We're gonna give you this market. Only thing you got to do, you got to take this oath you got to keep them, you got to make sure they stay down, keep them down. That's your job. So Father does not condone of this agenda that's being pushed. That is it's a satanic agenda, because you got to understand they're just now coming upon their judgment, their sentence for what their ancestors did to our ancestors. This is the time, man. It all came to light. It's all been it's in a process of being rebalanced. So they have to pay their karmic debt. So now they got the regentrification, and it's like, all right, let's lessen our blow if we can get in close enough. Get these melanin extractions, let's see how many that we can, because you can merge with somebody and they can have to pay your karmic debt. Different agreements and contracts, like I said, you have it's a lot of them doing that. They're targeting melanated beings because they're like, they need some type of grace, they need some type of covering. And it's the same old thing, like you just getting used. Like you're looked at as the pet. I'm talking about the so-called black. You're looked at as the pet that's just getting used. And Father is not for this. What's going on? Because Father knows what time it is. See, we paid our karmic debt. We paid our for our sins through the suffering that is been brought upon us. That was our sentence, literally. The sentence of our ancestors. We know how that played out. You telling me you about to go now? The ones that did that to your ancestors, they're going into judgment, and you about to intertwine, intermingle, intermarry, and merge with that type of karma. Man, you bugged the fuck out. You bugged out, man. Look, when you merge with somebody else's energy body through the act of sex, you become one. So you do take on their karma. And that's why, I don't recommend like nonchalantly out here or just fuck it, like, at all. It's a dangerous time, because everything's up for review now. All debts are being settled now in this age of Aquarius. Everything that was written in the book of life, every thought, word, and deed, is now being settled. You don't know what the fuck you merging with. You gotta make sure. All right, I'm not preaching. That's it.